all good. All right. So, welcome to the Autofocus podcast, episode number 5. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dan.
And tonight we are going to do a little photo, I don't know, comparison, but like analysis. We've each picked 3.
Yeah, I'm excited on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of like a last minute like plug-in episode that we were going to do. We had something else planned, and then we came up with this idea, and we were both pretty pumped on it. So, but before we get to business, let's talk about, again, please subscribe and like our videos. We're available on Spotify. We're still waiting on Apple Podcast, but we are available on Google Play or Google Podcast. And then you can also follow our Facebook page now, which we've got about 150 followers pretty quick, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's doing some work.
Yeah, thank you. Please follow, because that's what keeps us motivated, that people are still listening, and it makes a difference for sure when you know somebody's actually watching or listening to your content.
Right. It's not just us two talking.
Yeah, which we do anyway, but this is just an excuse for us not to hang out with the women for an hour and come down here and do this. But so tonight we've kind of got 3 photo. We each picked 3 of our, I don't want to say our top 3, but some of our favorite photos from the past years. And neither of us have any idea of what each other's photos are. So we're gonna put them up on the screen, and we'll overlay them so you guys can see what they are. But each of us are gonna critique them and maybe like say what the other person likes about it, what you think you could have done better, and we'll go from there. And then we'll just see how it goes. So I'll go first. So let me share my screen here with you. And this we've got more to say about this topic. I mean, people have a tough time like sharing some of their work. So we'll get into that at the end of the podcast here. But
absolutely. I mean, people definitely feel like they're going to get criticized. Damn.
Yeah. All right. Good. Yeah, I took that. So people feel people get nervous to like show their work, especially in this industry, or video or photo. It's like they take a photo and maybe they don't want to show their peers or their coworkers, or
right. They don't want anyone to criticism or hate.
Yeah, their negativity or anything like that. But so here's my first image. I won't even say anything about it.
Great.
You just tell me like what you like, what you don't like, what you think I could have done better, and we'll go from
I mean, I love it. One question: did you use a polarizer for the water?
I did not use a polarizer. So no polarizer. I think I used at the time. I was using this is a 50 mil f1.8 lens. Yep.
You weren't shooting at 1.8 though.
No,
that's the background's way too in focus for.
No, yeah, I think it was
1.8.
I think it was like f8 or f10. So you can see.
Yeah, and that's pretty typical for landscape stuff.
Yeah, the one thing I know. You go ahead first, and then I'll tell you like what I.
Yeah, no, I think composition wise too. your eye follows kind of like the river all the way down to the trees. I love that. I lost it on the screen there.
Oh, sorry, that's my bad.
I think you went back to. I think. If anything, I might have added like a little bit more saturation into the trees, but I think it looks really good. I think it looks really, composition-wise, color-wise, I love the reflection in the water. The rules of third, you have the sky, the tree, and then the water, but then you also have the leading lines of the water going right to the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah, thanks.
Looks really good.
Yeah, so I think this was shot like October of last year. I think I had just gotten this camera and picked up like the 50 mil pretty much right away, like nifty 50. So 50 millimeters are probably the most common like lens size for digital or SLRs because they're most cost effective to make. Almost all camera companies make like a cheap 50 mil lens. Right. So it's the first thing I picked up. So this was shot at 50 mil. One of the things that like drives me nuts about it is those foreground rocks aren't perfectly sharp.
Yeah.
Because I think I shot
Where were you focusing?
I was focusing like right on the bank, like probably halfway up that image so that I would get like the reflection and then the trees in the background. I almost wish I had like focus stacked it so that I could have gotten the front like perfectly crisp. It's like one of my
I would say too, if you had a polarizer, that would have been great. Like the water, you just would have cut right through it.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know would you get the reflection if you had a polarizer on there?
I think you would. Yeah, I think you still would. Yep.
Yeah, I that definitely, and I actually have a polarizer now for a handful of lenses. I still don't for the 50, but yeah, the only thing that drives me nuts about this is the foreground rocks that are like blurry. Like,
Yeah.
they're not blurry, they're just not in focus.
And the thing is too, like I was like, oh, you could when you said that, I was like, you could Photoshop them out, but I think it adds to the image because you know what I mean.
It gives
if
something
you took them
in
out,
the front.
I don't know where I would look.
Yeah, that's where.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
So that's exactly foreground. So like in camera, right? You're looking at this little screen, and it looked like it was perfectly focused, but like
exactly.
I just couldn't tell. And when I got back, I kind of was like, oh man. But other than that, that's I love this image. It like fall and blue sky, good reflection, good leading lines. Like
and I think actually, if you kind of want to like dumb it down a little bit with focus stacking and kind of tell people what that is.
Yeah, so that's good. So focus stacking, I mean, I'm not an expert and I don't do a ton of it, but the idea is like your camera or your is a fixed spot. So you've got it on a tripod and you focus essentially in the foreground, the middle, and then the background. And then in Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever photo editing software you use, you stack those focuses together so that everything is perfectly crystal sharp. What people that shoot on cell phones may not understand is like when you take a picture, even on your cell phone, there's what's called depth of field. So depending on what aperture you shoot at, your depth of field is different. And iPhones are set typically to get almost everything in focus, or smartphones are to get everything in focus. But when you shoot a SLR, you have the ability to control all that. And I could have gone up to like f16 or f22 or something, but at that point, you sometimes you start to lose like some image quality. Like you might get some like aliasing or some weird light things that happen. So
every lens too has a sweet spot,
right?
And it's usually around like f8 and
that's pretty
a little bit above,
pretty
so.
common. And at the time, remember, I was still just learning this camera, so I didn't know. Like I just bought this lens and everything, but for sure one of my favorite. And I love the grade that I put on it. Like nothing too vibrant and. It's definitely crispy. Like even zooming in out here, it's pretty sharp for what it is. For a cheap 50 mil.
You can even see that sign right on the tree.
Yeah, wow. It's pretty good for what it is. And this has been like I probably, this isn't the highest resolution. Like this is probably a 4 megabyte file, so it's not even still like it's definitely been downsampled. So.
Yeah, wow, that's great.
All right, let's do one of yours. Let's go back and forth. That way we're not.
Oh, we're gonna go back and forth. All right, I like that.
Yeah, that way we're not just like one person.
I'm gonna show you. This is literally my favorite image.
Like of all time. Like this is your number one.
This is my favorite image of all time.
And how scary! It's kind of scary. Yeah, that's awesome.
So this is my favorite image of all time. One, because of when I got there. I got the hawk attacking the actual duck before it killed it. And that was my first kill.
Yeah. So,
but
it looks,
yeah.
I mean, obviously it captures a moment. It's like the one thing that I love about it is how crystal sharp it is.
And oh my God, that's why I love it so much because it's dead on.
Yeah, and it's one of the hardest things. It's the hardest thing to get right, like to get something that's perfectly sharp and like no blur and still not underexposed or anything like that. But yeah, this is a great image. I mean, I love that you can see the tree on the right hand side that like kind of frames it up.
Yeah,
and then you've got like that's the hawk in the center, and then it's. The composition's great, and I don't know if you had the ability to like move at the time when you were there, or you were just trying to get the shot, but it worked out really well. For sure.
So no, that's another reason why I love this shot is because when I got there, I was snapping away. I looked down at my camera, and in the back, right where you said you could have moved, and I got the tree.
Yep.
To the right of that was a telephone pole.
Right.
And I'm looking, and I was so excited of the hawk. I'm like, oh crap! And so I moved just a little bit and got this perfectly.
Yeah.
So there's no telephone. It's nice and green in the back. And I was like, it was just like a learning experience while I was there.
Yep. For sure.
And I made it happen. You know what I mean? Like I moved to actually get the right composition.
Yeah.
And just the duck's head looking back at its body. Like it just, to me, it's like everything's so good. I love this shot.
I also and I just noticed it as you were like, I was just like processing. Cause again, we haven't seen these images before. So like, I just saw it. So I also love how smooth the bokeh is in the background. Like it's not just it's not distracting. Yeah. Like sometimes you can get like swirls or like it's too busy. But it just makes it makes it makes everything pop right off of it, and you
Yeah.
didn't obviously
And
over color grade it or anything like that.
I'm so excited about this image, but I can't I can't hang it anywhere. I can't print it anywhere
Yeah,
because
I
it's
mean,
so gruesome.
you
But
can, but yeah, I mean,
I could.
this isn't,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
but
this is the photo that I entered into a photo contest, and it was the live. He was doing like a live Facebook or whatever. And they get to my image and they're just like, I'm not sure what this is. They're like, composition, it looks great. It's super sharp, but it's,
yeah,
bloody and gutty.
yeah,
So
the context
I was like, oh
is
my
like,
God, it was so,
yeah,
I
no,
was so
it's
bummed
cool
after
for
that.
sure. I don't think I've ever seen
Yeah.
this image. Like, this is the first time you've ever showed it to me. So,
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Yeah. Cause
yeah, that's
wow.
cool for sure. Nice, man. Yeah, clean image. This is like one you hang up in your studio or like you put on your desk.
I'm going to have to. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's not traditionally something that somebody else is gonna buy or put up somewhere.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is just for me. Yep.
All right, so let's see, what else do I have? So I'll share mine now. All right, so this one here, and I know you've seen this one before actually, because when I was there, I think I texted you a picture, but yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
But can you make it? Can you full screen it?
Well,
Or
it
do
was
I have to
shot
make
in
my screen bigger?
portrait.
Yeah, I mean that one, oh, I see. Okay. That one looks great. What did you I think something that could have made it maybe a little cooler. I mean, did you add a lot of clarity to it?
Ton of clarity, because I liked the way
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
rocks
yeah.
looked with all the clarity.
Yeah, that's exactly what I looked at. The only thing, the sky is nice and blue too, and same thing, you have the sky and then the water, perfectly right down the middle. So the rule of thirds again are
Yeah.
great. I maybe would have slowed my shutter speed down a little bit to get the water a little more like blurry.
Smoothed out a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit more smoothed out, but I mean, yeah, that one looks good. Is that Nubble Lighthouse?
That's Portland Head Lighthouse.
Oh, okay.
So I work up in Portland most of the time, so I've been able to go out and take a look. That's like a pretty famous
Yeah,
lighthouse. The weird thing is it's never really shot from this angle because it doesn't necessarily
Now,
like flatter
yeah,
the lighthouse.
so that's what I was
well.
going to say. That's what I was going to say. You cut off half the house, but it looks great because like you have that island,
Right.
or whatever, that that extra rock sticking out where the light's hitting it really well.
I tried to keep the lighthouse on that like rule of thirds, like the left-hand side. And then honestly, I do have a portrait version of this that's not edited like this. This is just the one that like I've had and used on social media before. I actually like the landscape one better. But when we post things on social media, like landscape traditionally doesn't look good because people use their phones to view them.
Right.
But yeah, this is, I just like the way like, yeah.
And you still have the foreground rocks.
Yeah.
I would almost maybe like brighten up the water a little bit.
It's like too dark.
Yeah, because it's nice and bright and perfectly exposed, the lighthouse and that island, halfway of the picture, but then it's a little dark from
On the bottom.
just from the water.
Sure.
But yeah.
Cool, man. All right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Here, let me send it back your way here. Stop sharing.
All right, I'll share mine.
Did that not? Yeah, there you go. Dude.
Can you see mine?
Oh, I definitely can. I actually literally
Yeah.
almost have the same photo, I think. Is this out past on Newcastle?
Yeah. It's
Oh my God.
Yeah, near Rye or whatever.
Yep.
So I don't even know why I like this image. I love it.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
why.
I literally think I have this same shot that we definitely shot at different times. But I should try to find it and we can put it up on the podcast. But yeah, no, I love
and I'm not a landscape shooter.
Right. So I love
it look cool.
I love the leading lines with the log, and then you've got the horizon set up so like your eyes literally go from the middle of the image to the right to where like the jetty is, and that out to the left. The only thing is, I'd ask you, did you shoot this on a tripod or handheld?
I honestly think it's sitting on like a rock.
Yeah.
Next, like behind it.
The reason I say is like to me it just looks like a tiny bit. Not blurry, but not like out. Like the jetty looks a little blurry. Like maybe you shot it on f4 or something like that, or
Yeah, it might have been it might be handheld. I took this photo years ago, so it might have been handheld, but I might have been on like a rock.
Yeah,
or
but
something.
other than that, I love the leading lines. I love the sky and how like the clouds like they all lead to the same direction. Like my eye wants to go from the center to the right and then back to the left. I mean, it's a pretty solid image. I would just say again, almost like focus, if you could focus stack this, right? So those blades of grass, the log and the jetty were like crystal sharp. That would make this killer. Like that's the one thing. And like, if you could see that on the left there, maybe we should go out and shoot all of our images with those changes. That would be kind of cool. But if you could get all those like sand particles on the left and the right, like not where the log is, crystal sharp, like that would be, I think that would be awesome. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool.
So yeah, that was that. Let me switch back.
I'm 90% sure I literally have the same photo, man. Like we'll have to see if I can find it, and I'll have you toss it up on the stream. All right, turn on screen. Share. All right, so the next one, I'm not going to lie, I cheated, but the reason I cheated is cuz all the images are all not the same, but pretty similar. So I'll start with this. So this is the first time I've ever really photographed the moon rise ever. And I've always just done, like, I've never had the time to go out. And this was like 3 years ago at the time. I never had the time, or maybe I didn't think about having the time to go out and like, oh, when's the moon coming up? Is it a full moon? So I'm going to scroll through all these images, and it's not necessarily just one of them. It's just like the entire series of images.
The thing that I like about the first one so far, that one looked really good.
This one right here is actually, this one and the next one are my favorite because the clouds cut the moon.
And you can see, that looks great.
This right here.
I was going to say
the
first one looked great because the moon was directly under that little buoy with the light on it.
Yep.
And it looked great. But this one you have the full moon, you have the cloud cutting it.
Yeah. So this is
that is an insane moon.
Yeah. So this was like, and I think, and this photography in general, like has this going for it. You associate a memory with it, right? So like I had gone and seen moonrises before, but there was something about this one. Like I actually had the kids in the car and the wife. We had just gone out to eat, and, my wife was like, why don't we go do it? Like the full moon ended up on a day that I wasn't working late. And so we get down there, I set up my tripod. Now this was shot with my Nikon. So this is out at 300 millimeters on a crop sensor, which is really like 450. And there's a bunch of other photographers down, like maybe like, like 40 yards or like half a football field. Like, and I was like, man, I just don't want to get the same shot as everybody else. So I'm in another spot. And I'm like waiting. I'm looking at my watch, and I'm like, dude, it said moonrise is at like, I don't know. Let's say it's 6:30. 6:40 comes around. It still doesn't come up. 6:50. And I'm like,
you got the kids and the wife.
Yeah,
in the
car.
car.
Kids. We had eaten. And I'm like, oh, maybe the clouds are gonna skunk us because you couldn't see. Like it started to get dark or whatever.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you get this like, I got this like sliver come up, and that was it right there. It was just like. It was like, and it was moving so fast. And I just remember that. And it's always made me like, we have a good friend, or I should say a friend from high school that does photography. And he gets a ton of moonrises, Charles Cormier.
Cormier, his stuff is so good.
Maybe we should have him on the podcast once we get like rolling.
We definitely should.
But he does a ton of moonrises, and like that's like his thing, and that's his niche. And like once I did this, I totally see how you could be hooked at getting like it perfect. And the one thing, tell me what you think about it.
I was gonna say, I mean, if you almost like cropped, I don't know how you feel about cropping, but there's a lot of empty space on the left, which would be real cool to kind of fill it more with the lighthouse and the moon.
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
A lot of empty space on the left in the sky, but yeah, I mean, that's great. And the funny thing with Charles Cormier is when I see a photo, I don't even know who it's taken by yet. I'll look at it like on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, that looks like Charles Cormier's photo, and then I see that it is. And so he definitely has a style.
He has a style, and that's cool. And I'm sure I just love that. And so when I took this, like it reminded me of him, and it reminded me of like how cool that process is. So it's definitely something I want to get more into. I definitely see what you're saying with the crop on how like something more like that.
Like, yeah.
Would
Yep.
be cool. I think the reason I didn't do that is because the Whaleback
The
Lighthouse
lighthouse.
isn't perfectly sharp.
The
It's kind of
Oh
like
yeah, but I
dulled.
but I also like the light in the water too, how it because it kind of like directs your eye to go up to the lighthouse.
Yeah, for sure.
So I liked how it showed that. Yeah.
So yeah, cool. That's kind of a series of images. I don't know how you're gonna show that in video, but we'll figure that out. Yeah, man. So that's one of my favorites, and I got that, like I said, a handful of years ago, which is cool. All right, should be all set.
So back to me, my last one. Is that working?
Yep, perfect.
So my last one I just took. I just took a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago maybe.
Okay.
And I'll let you talk about it.
Yes.
But I love this image.
All right. So the first thing that I love is one. How cool is it? Do you know what type of fox those are?
No.
I don't. Yeah. So the one thing I really love
I
about
know.
it is the tree branches in the front. Like I feel like if the tree branches weren't there, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool. But I almost love that it's almost like you're being camouflaged, and it's like and I like the trees in the background. Like at this point, you haven't completely blown out the background. You can still get some definition in there, and the fact that the two of them are together is killer. Like that's the thing that you've got patience for. I mean, you can stay out in the woods forever. I'd be like, I would love to take the shot. Maybe I should come out with you because that's a great image. I mean, that's an image that you could submit to a photo competition, or somebody would put up, in their office or whatever.
Yeah, so I love this shot. It's a little bit blown out in the back, but the reason why I love it, I was sitting there taking photos, and the fox on the right was sitting there with his ears up, exactly what he's doing, and the guy on the left was laying down, and I was like, oh my God, how awesome would it be if he stood up?
And it just happened.
And they were the same, right? Because the left eye's a little covered and the right eye's a little covered of each fox, so it's like, I was like, composition-wise, and it happened, and I was like, oh my God, and that was the photo. I was like, I can't wait to get back to the house and edit, but yeah. I mean, I waited for this photo to happen, and it did,
just
and
happened.
I was so happy.
And a lot of that has to do with your preparation. So like and it happens in landscape, but it's more important, I feel like, for wildlife. Like the fact that you kind of waited for it and called it, and then it happened, just means that you were you were prepared and ready and like anticipating what was happening. And that is like, at least from my experience from landscape, just means that you're progressing and getting even better and better.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. So yeah, exactly. When you start noticing shots and you're waiting for shots, and you know something's going to come, or you have the picture in your mind, you're just waiting for it to happen. And I didn't used to do that back in the day.
Right.
And yeah, progression, and I've definitely stepped it up a little bit.
Is this shot at 200 millimeters? Is this shot like all the way out, or?
I think this is, I used my Sigma, I think it's a 150 to 500.
Wow.
But yeah, I think it might be at 500.
Yeah.
I got to check in Lightroom.
It seems super flat, like you're getting a ton of compression in the image. You know what I mean? There's not like it's definitely a great image. I mean, I know you posted that on social media, but that should definitely be printed for sure. And I love that not necessarily anything to do with photography. I love that the fox's eyes are different colors. Like it's just like there's a lot of character in it. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I was so happy on that one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you.
Cool, man. I think that was a good experiment. I think that maybe this is something we could do. I haven't been shooting a ton, so once we get back into shooting more and more, maybe it's something we could do like every few episodes. We don't have to do 3.
Dude, I would love to, yeah.
But just like a little criticism, and maybe the other thing we'd help people with is like you talked about like rule of thirds and making sure everything
right
cut out great. So I love that.
Yeah, and with me too, it was I wanted to pick all wildlife photos because that's what I love to do.
Right.
But I threw in a little landscape, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, for
photo
sure.
in there. But I also had a couple portraits and all that. But my passion's wildlife, so it's like
man.
I really love showing my wildlife stuff.
Yeah, and I have a good story to go along that. When we first met, I don't know, we were probably freshmen when this happened. We used to go up to your dad's house in Maine, and I'd spend the night up there or whatever. I don't know, we were skating or fishing or whatever we were doing, and you would sleep we'd go to sleep, and I'd wake up like 4 in the morning. You'd still be awake, and you'd be watching National Geographics for
Oh, I remember that.
ever, dude.
Yeah.
I wake up, and I'd be like, dude, what are
Yep.
you doing? You're like, yeah, no, I just it got moose or bear or deer. So like, you've got a passion for it,
love
man,
it.
and don't let that go
Yeah.
for sure. It's great. So.
Yeah, it's funny. We'll be in bed with my girl, and I'll put on TV Nat Geo Wild, and she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, while you're watching, you're like, I
But,
love it. I love it.
And it's the craziest, it's bears, just walking around or catching fit, like this most random thing. But I find it amazing.
Yeah.
Like when they did that Planet Earth, the new Planet Earth, I was like,
Dude, I love those.
film wise, the audio quality production they did was so on point, and it was like,
I don't know how they do
it was
that.
just so amazing.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, it was so amazing.
Yeah,
So.
great. I think that was a great episode. A little bit shorter than the
Yeah, that
last
was
one,
fun.
but again, thanks for everybody for listening. Please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, social media. Again, we're available Spotify. You can watch right on YouTube or Facebook, Google Podcast, and hopefully one day we'll get on Apple. I don't know what the deal is.
I know, right?
Sooner or later we'll get there, but yeah, great episode. And until next time, I'll talk to you
Yeah,
then.
and
Go ahead.
and also if you're on Facebook too, leave some comments. What do you think could be changed
For sure.
on some of the photos, because we'll post them
Yeah,
up. So.
I'd love. I mean, I feel like people just like on Instagram and like on social media. I'd love some,
Right.
love some
We
input.
wanna get some interaction.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Yep.
If you've gotten all the way through the podcast, please don't hesitate to comment and tell us what maybe you would have done different or what you like about them. Cool.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. Cool.
Awesome.
Until next
good
time.
episode.
All right. Later.
All right. See ya.